Hi. So in this video, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to identify deals that are at risk in your pipeline using Maester. All right, this is exactly how easy it is. Can you give me a table with all of our open pipeline opportunities and flag which ones are at risk and why? All right, let's take a look. Okay, so Maester created a file called openpipelinerisks.csv, and it added our deal names, customer names, close date, and deal stages. And then Maester created two new fields called risk status and risk reason. And so the risk status looks like it's labeling which deals are at risk or not at risk, and the risk reason is giving the reason that it is at risk in the case that it is. So um, there you go. So that is exactly how easy it is to identify deals that are at risk in your pipeline with Maester. All you have to do is ask. Now, let's briefly talk about how this all worked. So I already let Maester know before this what it means for a deal to be at risk. I did that in our keywords UI, which you can see here. I have a keyword called at risk deal, and I've defined an at risk deal as an opportunity that has insufficient email or meeting activity for the last 14 days, or a deal that has a due date that is coming up soon relative to its current deal stage. And then I get some parameters for what that means. Now, you can, of course, enter whatever definition that you have for an at risk deal, or you could let Maester determine for you what it means for a deal to be at risk. In this case, that's the example that I chose to go with. Um, and I also should call out here that Maester is generating all this on the fly. So, like these two dimensions here, risk status and risk reason, those do not exist anywhere in our data set. Maester spun those up in response to my prompt, taking into account the definition that I just showed you. So all this stuff is happening on the fly, um, just as we're waiting for it. Now, um, you can see it's very straightforward to get this type of analysis with Maester. And if you want to see a little bit more of what you can do with Maester, stick around for a few more minutes, and I'll show you some other examples. Um, now we're going to just get a little bit more information before we go on to the next steps. So can you add a column with the last activity date for each of these deals and another with the reps? Oop, okay, I guess it's probably fine. All right, so let's take a look. Okay, so you can see we've got deal name, customer name. Now we have the sales manager, the close date, the deal stage, last activity date, and then there's other couple of columns. So it looks like we've got everything that we need. Now let's get some visuals going. So thanks. Now I want a stacked bar chart that shows the number of deals that are at risk and the number of deals that are not at risk for each sales rep. All right, great. So here we go. We've got our breakdown of deals that are at risk and not at risk for each sales rep. I can hover over any of the bars on this chart and see what the underlying values are. Let's say I want to send this off to somebody on my team, or throw it into a deck or something like that. I can quickly, easily change the colors in here. So, maybe we want to make the at risk deals red, and maybe we'll make the not at risk stuff green. Um, and so there you can see, just like that, we have a nice tidy chart of our risk breakdown by rep. And maybe if I want to look at it at a higher level, see how it breaks down across the board, I don't need to prompt Maester to do that. I can just click and change to a pie chart or a donut chart and see the overall picture of how things shake out. So, um, uh, one thing that I always think about when I look at deals, uh, deal pipeline risk in this way is whether it's effectively communicating the overall risk, because we're looking at it in terms of the number of deals in the pipeline rather than the deal amounts. And so, we could potentially have a situation where, we look at, you know, say in this case of like Joan Holloway here, our fake sales rep, she has one deal that's at risk out of five, but for all we know, that one deal is worth, you know, two-thirds of her pipeline, in which case we should be pretty concerned about the status of her pipeline. So let's get a little bit more information here to get a better idea of what her overall risk, or rather the team's overall risk status is. Okay, so um, uh, cool. Now give me the same chart, but with the dollar amount associated with the underlying deals instead of the number of deals. All right, let's take a look. So we've got our deal amount now broken down by at risk or not at risk by sales rep. And you can actually see what I was talking about here. So we have, in the case of Bob Vance, Bob has two deals that are at risk and two that are not at risk. But you can see that the two that are at risk are making up, it looks like it's probably close to 80% of his overall pipeline. So, if I'm Bob's manager, I might be a bit concerned here. If I'm the sales ops person or rev ops person, this might be a bit concerning, and it might be something that I want to talk about with our leadership team in the upcoming sales weekly meeting, or maybe we want to send it off to the reps and have them dig into what's going on with these at-risk deals. So to make all that easier, let's just take a look at what Maester can do to help. So I'm going to have Maester put together a quick report on all of this. So thanks. Give me a Word doc that summarizes these findings on page 1, then include one page for each sales rep where you provide a table of the deals that are at risk and a table of the deals that are not at risk. And be sure to include um, deal name, close date, last activity date, and company name. And while we're waiting for this, I'm going to go ahead and give this one a thumbs up, because as you may remember from some of my other posts, Maester is automatically self-improving. And so when I give Maester a thumbs up, it lets Maester know that I like the way that it approached this question. And the next time I ask for a similar type sort of analysis, I wanted to approach it in a similar way. And this is how Maester becomes more tuned to your organization over time and starts to feel a bit more like, a quote unquote AI employee. Okay, so here we go. We've got our report. Let's take a look. So here we go. We've got our report pulled up here. Maybe makes it fit in the screen a little bit better. Cool. So now we have our summary of the pipeline risk analysis on the first page, just like I asked, with the overall breakdown, and then the distribution by rep, and then a quick little summary there. And then we've got page 1 with our sales rep, Jim Halpert, his at-risk deals and not at-risk deals. And just scrolling through, it looks like we've got the rest of it too. So um, there you go. So it makes life a whole lot easier when you're trying to put this stuff into action. And so now, if I'm the sales VP or if I'm the RevOps person, maybe I want to download this report and send it off to my team and say, hey guys, let's talk about this in our weekly meeting this week. Or, if I'm Bob's manager, maybe I want to take just the page for Bob, send it off to Bob. And when we have our one-on-one this week, maybe we, want to spend some time on figuring out how to get those at-risk deals back on track. So there you have it. This is how you can do a complete analysis of deals that are at risk in your pipeline and put it into action with Maester. You can see it doesn't involve any extra work of downloading data, clicking around the CRM, any of that sort of thing. It's just asking a couple of questions. If there's any other examples you'd like to see, please let me know. Feel free to shoot over, the challenges that you deal with, and I'd be happy to put together more videos that show the type of thing that Maester can do. Thanks.